The alarm went off 3 times and stopped. There was no explosion. There was no scream on the channel. Just a crack, then a heavy, thick silence, like fog entering the sensors. Kepler Prime left the map in less than 2 minutes. Aurora's panel Wapanel was littered with dead lines. Panel was dead lines. The bridge plunged into a half-light that makes time move slowly. Captain Maya Rios leaned over the holographic table, attentive eyes, firm jaw. She had already seen worlds fall. Wars with too much fire, betrayals with too many words. But never like this, never without a shot, without heat, without a trail of warp. There, the enemy was silence. "It reproduces the last package," he said. The room vibrated with hiss, deadlines. A hiss, Ike distant rain. Between cuts, a hoarse voice emerged, loaded with static. "Kepler Prime, emergency, erased cities, dissolved energy. We heard the choir." The file cut out. The noise has changed. It was no ordinary sound. It sounded like a song without melody, a weight in the ear. Then, nothing. An active nothingness, pushing the room into itself. "Pause," Maya asked. Breathed. "Call the group." In a few minutes, 4 people formed a semicircle. Sei Jin, risky pilot, hair up, arms crossed. Dr. Ikan Var, physicist, restless fingers, gaze that measures what no one sees. Elias Morel, cryptographer, pale, sunken eyes of someone who listens too much. The 4th was Maya herself, the only one there who commanded a total retreat and came back alive. "This is not a breakdown," Ikan said. "It's not the EM pulse. It is not an ion surge. It's something else." Sei Jin touched the console, lightly a hiss, lightly. "I've seen ships disappear in the warp channel due to trajectory error. I saw engine fay lightly, the engine L. I saw carelessness killing, but the entire colony. No fire in the sky, no hot dust. I don't buy it." Elijah raised his hand, asking for silence. Adjusted the spectrum. The hiss turned into saws, peaks, valleys, intervals. The engine, intervals, intervals. "I've heard that. Not this file, this pattern, in the Trappist Basin 2 years ago. A relay was muted for 6 hours. They recorded this background. We call it noise. It wasn't. It was singing." Maya turned her face to him. "Him," he explains. "It's not sound. It is not light. It is coupled interference. Energy, navigation, calm him. Navigation and communication. All together. Someone has learned how to add and cancel the frequencies of our systems, like a choir that sings exactly where our voice dies. Hence the name used in the broadcast," Iken said, frowning. Sei Jin gave an embarrassed half-smile. "And deadly." The projection showed Kepler Prime as a set of pulsing dots. Suddenly the glow faded into concentric circles. It didn't explode. Erased. Defenses failed. Navigation. And failed. They did not fight. It was a forced surrender, with no eye contact. "The choir failed. Choir counteracts predictable patterns," Iken explained. "Our networks have rhythms, pings, load cycles, jump choir cycles, and P windows. The choir cycles, and choir comes in and breaks up. It doesn't break. It doesn't choir doesn't happen." "Projections for other colonies?" Maya asked. Elijah did not look away from the map. "Doesn't map. I map. If the pattern continues, the line of Orion loses 3 knots in 40 hours. If the Federation reacts with a heavy fleet, it gets worse. Massa generates rhythm. Rhythm becomes a target." The air seemed to decrease. The idea of silence spread like mold. "We need a symmetry," Maya said. "Something that doesn't sing on the same scale as the enemy." "Gravity," Iken replied dryly. Sei Jin raised his eyebrow. "Throw the ship into a well and hope for the universe to go out of tune." "Gravity is not just falling," Iken said. "If we can record a curvature that doesn't repeat, we have a non-cancelable pattern, but we don't have that technology." "Or we forget," murmured Elias. He extended the end of Kepler's package. In the noise, a trail appeared, like a finger on fogged glass. He turned a filter. A name appeared, ancient and golden, Orium. The bridge became a little colder. The relic city Orium, Icon said. Legend of the Covenant days. They said there was a gravity archiver there. A machine that records curvature like music on vinyl. Bar history. I never saw proof. If it exists, it is in a dead zone, Se-Jin said. Few corridors, a lot of rock, a lot of chance. There is a latte that we will be without an engine, and without friends. Maya looked at the star clock. Every second was a hole opening in Kepler, and then in other homes. She knew the mathematics of delay. I also knew that there is a lot fear. The Federation will send a fleet when it wants. It will be heavy. Big rhythms, easy targets. Aurora, why Aurora, will not wait. Captain, this is formal insubordination, Icon said. It was a fact, not an accusation. Yes, he replied. And Kepler is silent now. Elijah inhaled as if entering cold water. I can extract a path from the noise, not a safe route. A beat to follow. Intervals where the chorus Aurora will chorus failed by microseconds. Maybe you can pass without repeating your step. Se-Jin really smiled for the first time. I dance. Prepare manual redundancy, Icarus redundancy in all modules, Maya ordered. No sequential autopilot, no regular cycles for more than 30 seconds. Irregular pings, communication in pulses. We will become music that the enemy does not know how to sing. What if they are already in Orium? Icon asked. Then we sing louder. The Aurora has entered combat light. Corridors in dim light. Belts locked. Hoof plates adjusting angles. The warp motor heated up like an old heart. Last warning, the system said. I jump without authorization. Command responsibility. Responsibility accepted, Maya said. There fit her whole story. Aurora, jump. The folded space opened into a thin line, a slit between two notes. The ship entered. Outside, stars at redundancy instars are a risk. Inside, the clock danced off mark. Short stars are, short, right. Pause, fall, return. 2, short, 2 loose beats, Elias guided, his eyes glued to the Spectre. 2 Spectre. Don't repeat the pattern. Se-Jin rode as if the hull was Spectre. We're an extension of the body. He pushed, braked, twiwer braked, and stood with hard delicacy. The engine sang a near silence. The structure cracked, boo braked, and cracked but obeyed. On the third jump, a ghost crossed the viewfinder. A black, smooth ship, without windows, without thermal, scracked buta-thermalignature. Null. It appeared as if it was always there and chose to be seen. He did not attack. He did not run away. It only existed for a second, and it disappeared. Bait, Se-Jin growled. Don't follow, Maya cut in. Irregular rhythm. Towards Orium. The jumps shortened. The noise grew. It always grows when we get closer to what we don't understand. On the last jump, the time between beats lengthened. The stomach asked for ground. Then the screen opened in a shallow orbit over a dark world. In the night hemisphere, a deep golden glow slept under dust and ice. Orium, broken domes, old towers. A huge ring, half buried, as if the planet had tried to swallow a city that refused to die. The Aurora was high, without a lighthouse, without transmission. No standard. Just wait. Maya stood up slowly. Welcome to the legend. Kepler's final package blinked on its own. A coordinate within the city, and a sentence that the filter has now cleared. In the heart of memory, there is defense. Maya nodded. Let's find what Kepler tried to give us. Down below, the dormant gold seemed to breathe. For an instant, the silence of the galaxy sounded less threat, and a thermal threatening, more weight threatening, more liking. The Aurora remained silent loudly, more like loudly silent over Orium. No headlights, no regular ping, just short breaths. The hull was still vibrating with the effect of the irregular jumps. The warp motor creaked like a tired muscle. From the outside, the dark planet looked like a closed eye with a golden glow under the eyelid of dust. Discrete landing mode, said Captain Maya Rios. No long thermal pattern. Se-Jin adjusted the vectors with firm fingers. The thrusters breathed in short, broken bursts, like controlled hiccups. The ship descended through a cloud of fragments, Broken towers rose like worn teeth. There were cracked domes and long fossilized bridges. In the center, a colossal ring. It was half city, half scar. Dr. Ikan Var was analyzing the local gravitational field. Slight fluctuation, he said, like a memory of an earthquake. Nothing active. Only the planet is still settling into ruin. Elias Morel has fine-tuned the spectrum. The noise here is different, dense, slower, as if the stone itself had memories. Memories they keep, Maya said, and maybe they will. The descent ended on a large terrace, still entire, half covered by ancient ice. Hydraulic supports touched the ground carefully. Aurora shut down the engines. Interior lights went to amber. Mission air. Team 1 with me, Maya said. Get out. Stay in your seat. If anything moves loudly, silent moves in sky, you take off without asking permission. Understood. Landing bay. The planet's air required filters. Fine, crystalline dust. Low temperature. Gravity still moves in. Gravity is slightly lighter than the human standard. The ramp descended and exhaled steam. The first step was Maya's. The ice creaked under the boot, but it wouldn't budge. The silence outside was dense, like that of a forgotten temple. The terrace led to a metallic stone corridor, corroded panels, registrations almost erased. Elias passed the scanner and formed a rough map. A path opened up to a central courtyard, under the shadow of the colossal ring. Kepler's coordinate points to the center of this yard, Elias said. Below him. Then let's go underneath, Maya replied. They crossed the hallway. The architecture resembled spirals. Short ramps, platforms, whole gravity is platforms, and low columns, all made to last. All done to remember something that no one else knew. As they entered the courtyard, the ground responded with a deep echo. The ring cast shadows in segments, like broken hours. Do you feel that? Ikan asked. I do, Maya said. The ground pulsates very little, as if someone had trapped a heart here. Elias knelt down. He touched the floor with the palm of his gloved hand. He did readings. There is a cavity 6 meters away, wide, something in the shape of a disc, dense material. If it's the gravity filer, it's here. Ikan smiled sideways. Rare. Platforms, and I always thought Aureum was drunken talk. The galaxy keeps secrets in the places where there is time left, Maya said. Open a window. Directional, delicate loads. Marked streaks. The cut took long minutes. When the central plate came off, a breath of cold and an old metallic smell rose. Below, a circular chamber. And in the center of it, supported by radial arms, was a thick, dark disc with concentric grooves etched at different depths. The light hit and returned an opaque, almost sad glow. Archiver. Archiver, Ikan said, almost in a whisper. They went down by cables. The floor of the chamber responded with the same low echo as the courtyard. There were consoles all around, all dead. There were marks on the walls, rectangles that resembled geometric sheet music. Elias brought the sensor closer to the disc. The specter lit up like an intimate constellation. He's Archiver. Several bands, layers upon layers, engraved curvatures. It's not just a manual, it's a library. Can you touch it? Maya asked. If it rings, he can respond, Ikan said. And if you answer, you can call things we don't want here. Sei-Jin joined the channel. Minimum traffic in high orbit, nothing clear, just an impression, as if shadows were choosing position. Maya exchanged a glance with Ikan and Elias. We don't touch what we don't understand. We read it first. Elias, make us a mirror of the outer edge of the archiver. Just a sample. Ikan, you decipher. Elias placed a ring of microgravimeters. The equipment followed the ruts without touching. He drew a digital profile of the engraved curvature. The canvas formed a map that looked like both music and topography. Ikan watched as if watching a sunrise. These are fractional phase bending patterns, Ikan said. Gravity marks that can be reproduced like playing a note. If the choir cancels our energetic rhythm, The archiver can impose a spatial rhythm the Elias makes that the choir does not reach. A countersong. Does it work? Maya asked. In theory. In practice, only near a strong field. Black hole, event horizon. It's where the notes of the universe sound loudest. Se-Jin came over the radio, tense. The traffic impression became clearer. 3 cold masses on the dark side, with no common thermal signature. Can be null. Time? Maya asked. 10 minutes for visual range, if they're coming for real. Or never, if they are just bait. Maya breathed slowly. Priority. Removed with the mirror. Without touching the core of the archiver. Without arousing anything. Elijah, how long? 4 minutes to sweep the outer arch. 2 more to check integrity. Icon, prepare a draft of low-energy playback. No emission, just simulate. I'm already simulating it on Aurora's hull. No real field, only mathematics. The camera seemed to tighten as the minutes passed. The echo of the floor became a companion. Elijah finished the sweep of the outer arch. It saved redundancies. Checked. It closed. Healthy data. Go up, Maya said. They emerged in the courtyard. The sky was the same heavy black. The ring cast a shadow. The ice on the steps crackled under his boots. Aurora lifted her nose by a few inches, ready to jump. Traffic confirmed, Se-Jin said. A cold mass now at medium distance. Not on a collision course, only parallel. Watching. They want us to sing, Maya said. They want standard. We are not going to give it. Return to the bay. Ramp closing. Unlocking the train. Ikan climbed to the scientific station. Elias connected the data in the navigation core. Maya sat in charge. Her skin felt cooler than usual. It was focus. That focused. Plan. Leave Orium by irregular crash route. Then, test the simulation of the countersong with the ship in isolated mode. No issuing outside. If it works, we look for a strong horizon. If it goes wrong, we still breathe. I like it, Se-Jin said. I like to breathe. Aurora took off in broken jets. The terrace released dust. The ring city has become smaller. The shadow of the ring became a risk. The orbit captured the ship with harsh sweetness. Up there, the sensor painted a black body, without lines, without signature. He was handsome in a faceless way, null. He did nothing. It only existed again for a few seconds. And it disappeared. They know how to wait, Elias said. Then we learn to pass, Maya said. Elias, mark the beat. Leave, dance. They left orbit in 3 short jumps, like steps taken in the dark. The warp motor sang the same near note that brought them in. The onboard clock skidded and came back. Outside, space dust seemed to fall, not float. Simulation ready, Icon said. Focused. Said. What do we have? The screen created 2 curves, that of the vacuum choir, estimated by Kepler's data. The one of the countersong said .countersongs, generated from the archiver. They got closer. They fluctuated. They hit lightly. The choir countersongs tried to cling to the other and failed. Repeated. It failed again. It's not victory, Econ said, but it's an answer. Enough for a chance, Maya said. Now, we need the right stage. A horizon that lends us volume. Se-Jin snapped his fingers on the stick. I know a bad hole with a worse name. Kronos. Monstrous. Unstable. Nervous photons. It is far away. Bayway but accessible. And no decent person wants to get close. Then it's perfect, Maya said. Route to Kronos. Irregular pace. No heroes on the way. Just work. The ship changed its nose. The map opened a brawway but opened with oaken line. Elias programmed beats that sounded like coughing. The engine responded unlovingly but obediently. The Aurora disappeared away from Orium. Captain, Elijah called quietly. The archiver's mirror is flawed, sensitive, like old scratches on vinyl. They do not compromise the whole, but sound, opened with sound. Do you sound? What do sound like? As if someone had played this before. It's as if something had answered. Maya was silent for a long second. So our song is not the first. Very good. There may be an audience or enemy. Anyway, Let's fine-tune it better. Aurora entered the clearest field between jumps. The space seemed to open up a bit. The noise has subsided. For a few seconds, I could hear only the pure sound of the ship, a sound of home. Then the panel flashed. A faint echo, coming from far away, crossed the spectrum. It was not Null. It was not a chorus. What chorus? It was something else. 3 broken notes. Nothing after. Register, Maya said. But don't follow. This is bait of another nature. Seijin smiled. The galaxy has a strange mood. And we are in a hurry, Maya replied. Kronos. The bridge obeyed. The route broke the map into crooked diagonals. The warp motor opened the slit between notes. The Aurora dived. Behind them, Aureum has once again become Legend Icarus, a legend in the dark. Ahead, the edge of the worst stage in the universe awaited. And between one jump and another, the digital countersong rehearsed on its own, repeating the promise of a defense that could only be real in the face of the weight of a black hole. The first door gave way with a dry crack. The corridor opened up like an ancient gorge, blowing cold air over the filters. The walls had embossed lines, curves upon curves, without letters, without drawings of people. Aureum did not tell stories with symbols. He kept rhythms. You walked, a legend walked, and the ground returned steps in different echoes, as if the city answered. Here, light. There, heavy. Further on, almost no sound. Captain Maya Rios stopped and tested. 1 long step, 2 short steps. The stone imitated. It was a city that listened. The core must be below, said Elias Morel, studying the spectrum. The archiver's signature becomes clearer when we go down 2 levels. Roots? Maya asked. 3. The one on the left vibrates in an irregular pattern. The middle one is too mute. The one on the right repeats a constant echo. Dr. Ikan Va thought out loud. The irregular must be an old maintenance path. The seedling can be a trap. The constant is via ceremonial. He preferred the irregular one. Irregular, Maya confirmed. They descended through narrow ramps. Low ceiling. Ice blades forming threads. The silence was not empty. He had a body. Elias's sensor flashed. Each step thinned the chart. The city seemed to adjust its own curvature so that they could fit. It wasn't magic. She was tired but lively walked. Lively. Engineering. On the second level, the corridor opened into a circular hall. In the center, a well. It wasn't deep. 3 meters. In the background, a secondary disc, smaller than the one seen on the lower level, bullively, level butt connected to it by metal columns. The columns resembled fingers, holding a heavy plate. Jin lit up the edge. This is a mirror of the main archiver, Ikan said. They used this to test tracks before recording in the core. Best place to find out what we're playing, Maya said, but without sending it out. Total isolation. They connected field cables. The hall gained an amber glow. Safe mode. Elias placed a microgravimeter ring over the smaller disc. It made a low-energy sweep, almost a whisper. The sensor returned a mesh that looked like a fishbone. Several crossed tracks, level butt tracks, at different levels. Choose a short sample tracks, Maya asked. Elias touched 3 points. The reader replied with a faint pulse that stirred the air, not the sound. The skin felt it. The stomach blamed gravity. Ikan closed his eyes and interpreted. Fractional fold curve if faint curve in broken phase. That's it. They wrote a note that never closes. Perfect for not becoming a target of the choir. What happens if the note meets the chorus? Say asked. In theory, the choir tries to cancel and doesn't find a border. It loses rhythm. He is blind for a moment. How instant? Maya asked. Enough to sail without being erased, Ikan said. Not enough to beat an entire fleet. We need to amplify near a strong field. The well shook slightly. It was not an attack. It was the reader asking for rest. The city was old. Any touch demanded respect. That's enough for today, Maya said. Let's get to know the rest of the floor. The side corridor led to a simulation chamber. It was simple and cruel. A cockpit without a ship. Sensors all around. The door closed and the ceiling went out. Only the display frame shone. Sei-jin entered without waiting for an order. "If this was done for pilots, I'll go first." "Just monitoring," Maya said. "No peaks. If it goes up too high, I'll take you out." The camera woke up. The viewfinder showed an asteroid belt, high density. The virtual panel showed failure in 3 vectors. There was no friendly HUD, only shadows. No voice. Sei smiled from the side. "They like silence. Me too." She pushed the missing joystick. The costume read the gesture. The simulation responded with minimal delay. The first passage was clean. The second brought an unexpected curve in unexpected echo. A stone moved without visible movement. Sei locked his body, spun like a knife, grown expected knife, and zed it. The simulator vibrated. "They trained intuition," Elias said. "The city gives scenarios where the standard knife, undis unreliable." On the third lap, the display changed to a narrow tuck corridor, narrower than anything approved by the Federation. Sei took a short breath. An ancient memory tried to be born. A defeat. A risky leap that cost lives. She pushed the memory to the corner. He kept his hand steady. At the last second, he broke the rhythm, as Maya had taught. The simulation opened. Orium approved. "It's over," Icon said with sincere surprise. "The city measures human rhythm." The door opened. Sei left with a cold sweat on his forehead. They knew how to train pilots for places that do not forgive. Kronos will hurt less after that. The next room was closed by an hourglass-shaped door. Elias touched the panel next to him and stepped back. "This is a level sanctuary," Hanarohi said. "The city only opens if the visitor comes out of beat." "Translate," Maya asked. "If you hit 3 times with the same interval, it freezes. If you play the wrong rhythm, it opens." Maya gave 3 touches, each with a different tempo, breaking any measure. The hourglass gave way. Inside, a registration core. Metal blocks with diagonal grooves, as if they were sheet music for machines. There was clear dust, and there were old finger marks in the dust. Very old. They were not human. They were elongated, with 2 more phalanges. "Old visitors," Icon said quietly. "Or the builders themselves." Elias mentally photographed each block. They couldn't take it. They shouldn't. The city accepted the visit. Buhevisit but did not invite the robbery. Maya understood the limit without anyone explaining. "We went back to the mirror and stopped," he decided. "Taking more than we need is asking for war with one's own house." On the way back, the ground changed echo. The visit but the echo. Corridor that used to return light now sounded heavy. Sei raised his hand. Stopped. The air became a little thicker. Elias looked at the viewfinder. A cold pattern crossed the ceiling of the level above. 3 elongated shadows. No heat, no noise. They were not stones. "Kneel the echo, kneel," said Elias. "They don't get in. They only score." "We are singing too much," Maya said. "Time to shut up." In the well hall, the draft reader breathed low, almost asleep. Elias hung up the hoop. Icon saved the last simulation. Maya collected cables. Within 5 minutes, the team was on the ramp. The sky has become blacker. The ring cast a wider shadow. The shadows of the null have not changed. They did not get closer. They knew how to wait until you gave a standard. Aurora wouldn't do. Back to the ship, cocoon mode. Cut transmissions. Pings in crooked times. Route to kneel. The route orbit tray. The route orbit washed by hand. Sei led with tough patience. 2 curves, 3 fixes. A short descent to confuse the reading from above. Clean climb. "No contact," Sei said. "Only eyes." "The city gave us what we needed," Maya said. Orbit was said. Now there is a lack of voice. Icon showed the report in 3 lines. Viable said dot lines. Viably countersong. Low amplitude. Knee lines. Viable amplitude. And for strong famplitude. And a strong yield. Elias added, Kronos as a stage. Irregular route proposed. Narrow margins. Maya looked at the map. The Orion line still glowed for the time being. Kepler Prime was a dark hole with cold edges. She clenched her jaw. From here, total focus. The next step defines us. Here, the narrator's voice turned for a moment to you, who follow the mission. If you want to follow every beat of this combat and not miss the right touch when we enter Kronos, subscribe now to the channel and activate the bell. War does not wait, and neither is silence. The craft pointed its nose out of Auriem's gravity well. He uncoupled with a metallic last breath. The planet shrank in glass. The ring city went out slowly, like an old fire. Auriem became a legend again, but he left tools, not weapons that explode, tools that sing. Next stop, Kronos, Maya said. There, the universe speaks loudly, and we will respond. The warp motor opened the slot. Aurora entered. Kronos was still a distant point when the first anomaly cut through the map like a nail on glass. It was not an explosion. He was not called. It was absence. The Strongan absence. Recommunication relays from the Orion line were muted at the same time, as if they had decided to cease to exist. The Aurora followed at an irregular pace, but the galaxy around it began to move in step with the enemy. 2 more knots erased, said Elias Morel, his voice tense, his gaze deep into the spectrum. They do not advance in line. They leak. Sei Jin kept his hands firmly on the stick. The more fleet the Federation moves, the more rhythm it gives the choir to step. And they know, replied Captain Maya Rios. The siege is not of ships. It is silence. The Federative channel opened in mosaic. Faces in windows, stinging noises, latency. A tired admiral asked for a report. Maya delivered dry. Auriem exists. We have a mirror of the archiver. Contracanto is viable in strong fan absence, a strong yield, Kronos as a stage. The admiral's office was mute for 2 long seconds. Then someone younger filled the void. Send the raw data to the capital. They will assemble an escort fleet. You lead the archiver to a safe hole, 40 parsecs from Kronos. No risk on the horizon. Maya looked at Dr. Ekenvar. He shook his head, minimally, a strong minimally. It was science minimally, science, and it was instinct. Negative, Maya said. The countersong needs the horizon to have volume. In a weak field, it becomes a whisper. The choir science, choir passes over, the young man insisted. The admiral interrupted in a low voice. Captain Rios, if you risk Kronos without a shield, the Aurora turns to dust. I need a demonstrable victory. Deliver the archiver. The Federation touches the rest. The Aurora bridge choir bridge was frozen. Maya chose. Negative. We proceed to Kronos. Command responsibility. The mosaic flickered. The channel went down. No screaming, no threat. Just a shortcut, bridge shortcut. Elias sighed soundlessly. They're going to send someone back, Sei said. Go, Maya agreed. And maybe they won't come to save. The siege began discreetly. Navigation satellites that had never been passed through were now needed. The shortcuts have closed. Fold corridors have deviated a few degrees, like doors that someone turns from the inside. Aurora still shortcut. Aurora still had the alphabet of Auriem and followed crooked beats, but the borders tightened. There's something tidying up the map, Elias said. It's not physics, it's logistics. Invisible hands moving the furniture. Null? Sei asked. Or allies with fear, Maya said. The answer came in the form of lights on the radar. 6 Federative frigates, flags shining high, new models, Imp Aurora still models, and deckable hulls. In front of them, a cruiser with a wide mouth and file name, Hera 9. The channel opened with better latency than usual. A familiar voice entered the bridge, sharp as a sharp blade. Rivers. This is Commander Soren Dalm. You and your habit of going off script. Maya did not smile. Dalm. Good to see you. Bad time. Your disobedience is terrible. Dalm leaned into the frame. I'll escort Aurora to the capital's test pit at Models, and the archiver is a strategic resource. Point. Icon leaned into the microphone. If you use this thing as an offensive weapon without the right horizon, it becomes a decoy. The choir eats his fleet and orders dessert. Doctor, I didn't ask for a physics lesson, Dalm replied. I asked for compliance. Say cut the audio from the microphone, but the entire bridge heard what she mumbled. Pride in uniform. Maya kept his voice flat. Dalm, we have a route and a plan. We just need them not to set up a circus around it. If everyone marches, the choira sans choir sings our death. The choir commander reclined, studied commander studying Maya's face, the index fingers in the corner of the painting, the studying painting, and rumor of something he did not control. In the end, he chose his own music. The fleet takes over. It opens up formation and reduces speed. Aurora goes in the middle. No. The no was simple, and it hurt more for that. Dalm locked his jaw. Then I'll take it by force. Hera 9's aiming signals flashed, discreetly, painting, and discreetly. They weren't lasers, they were administrative grips, navigation blocks, remote locks, odd, discreetly dot locks, anders for satellites to lock doors ahead. The siege became formal. They're going to freeze us locks and, Elias said, leave Aurora standing still while they open their bellies and take what they want. They won't, Maya said. Say, spiral plan. Elias, prepare. Elias, prepare as 2 ghost routes. Icon, turn on the draft of the countersong in the hull. Only internal, just to mess up their reading. The Federation's closed a perfect arc, beautiful in the books. Say broke the arc with effective ugliness. Very short accelerations, microstops, half-degree vectors, burn and erase. Bur Elias prepares erase, and ain and erase. Hera 9 tried to keep up with algorithms that loved regularity. Aurora's hull vibrated, sweaty but happy. Remote crashes missed by milliseconds. Enough. A hole, Elijah shouted. 3 seconds of window, vector 229. Jump, Maya ordered. The Dawn entered the crevasse like a fish through stones. 2 Federations tried to follow. One of them tore his flank at the edge of the corridor. The other backed off. Dalm cursed off the microphone. The fleet dismantled the bow, belatedly. The siege failed in the first act. They come back on top, Say said, and now angry. Let them come, Maya said without bravado. We don't fight, we pass. The invisible siege Uras and off the Null tightened together. Mute relays, blind probes. Instead of shortcuts, long curves. Aurora was left alone in too large a space. Only the noise-ack of noise was accompanied. Noise was byeth flashes of patterns that resembled sips of water in a cracked glass. The choir by choir is rehearsing around, Econ said. The countersong bothers us. They look for edge. Choiron edge. And they don't think so, Elias said, but without a smile. 3 hours later, Hera 9 reappeared from the side, as if geometry had secret doors that only large cruisers know how to open. Dalm did not speak. It lit non-lethal weapons, shutdown pulses, software hooks, Naven edge, hooks, and negation nets. The first pulse struck Aurora's hull like a cold whip. Lights flashed. The ship grunted. The draft counterchant sandhooks and counterchant sang low. The wrist lost half of its strength. The second pulse came out of date, smart. The countersong responded crookedly, almost too late. It's going to break, Say said. Either we escape now, or we become a showcase. Elijah, Maya called. A blind jump. 3 degrees off the safe route. Only 3. If it's more, we tear the wing. If it's less, it falls into the net. Maya did not think about metals. He thought of Kepler Prime. He thought of the first snap of silence. 3 degrees. Will, Say pulled. The warp motor screamed like rope stretched too tight. The hoof groaned. The bridge tilted. The stomach rose. The Aurora fell into the crevasse as if falling into its own shadow. For a second, there was no inside or outside, just the thick noise of the galaxy. They emerged in a field of luminous debris, remnants of comets shredded by tides long ago. The dust shone like rain. Hera 9 stayed behind, caught in its own web. Breathe, Maya said. That was ugly. Say smiled, sweaty. Ugly saves. The silence breathed together, and then the vacuum choir finally sang close. It was not sound. It was cancellation. Pikauntachant Sangha, cancellation. Annals darkened, not because of a lack of power, but because the power did not happen. Screens returned with broken delays. The maneuvering engine coughed and stopped. Hazard Liga cancellation. The hazard AHT flashed, but not in rhythm. The Aurora turned to stone among dust. Against, Ekan gasped. Contra canto. Elias had already opened the archiver's mirror. He sent the broken note to the internal sweepers. The hull responded with fine tension, almost pain. The contrachant rose without elegance, the way it could. It hit the choir, the hazard choir, like wind beating in smoke. The smoke cleared. It didn't disappear. It has lost shape. The panel was reborn in blocks. The engine breathed. "We have 30 seconds, choir," said Elias. Then the choir learns. Say, yes. The pilot mounted a chain of short impulses. The Aurora did not fly. He jumped from pebble to pebble, like a child crossing a river. The choir tried to take it. He was narrowly wrong. The ship gained space. The countersong burned in the hull, asking for rest. Ekan was sweating. "If we do it again, it either breaks or learns," he said. "We are not going to repeat it," Maya replied. 2 side microfolds, a 1/4 turn, an intentional drop in power. The Aurora was behind a veil of dust and shadow, too small for the choir's algorithm. Choir Andu ugly for Hera 9's pride. The siege went straight by, looking for something beautiful to catch. They stayed like that for long minutes, hearts hitting the new rhythm. Elias recalculated the route. Ekan adjusted the math of the counterchant, scraping edges. Say kept his hands quiet, which is the hardest part of the job. Maya looked at the map and felt, for the first time since Kepler, a crack in the enemy's wall. It wasn't a door. It was a crack. "Conclusion," Ekan said, his voice hoarse. "The countersong works, but only as a window. To close the choir, we need the event horizon. There, the grade grows. There, their music breaks." "Chronos," Maya said, and no one argued. The federative channel whispered again, "Late." Not Dalm, the old admiral. There was no order. There was a warning. "If you go, go alone." Maya closed his eyes for a moment. When it opened, there was a decision. "We have been alone since Kepler." He straightened, towards Chronos. Irregular pace. No heroes, just work. Aurora came out of the dust shelter as a nocturnal animal that learned to pass for hunters. The siege was still there, invisible, but the ship now had it, and had its own music. And the entire galaxy, for a brief moment, seemed to listen. Chronos grew on the map like a shadow with a heart. Aurora Advance had its. Aurora advanced through the crooked beats that Elias drew on the spectrum. 3 short impulses, a strange pause, a Aurora advanced pause, and lateral jump that seemed to be a mistake. Method. "Distance?" asked Captain Maya Rios. 2 days on a regular route, replied Elias Morel. "At our broken pace, half that, and with fewer footprints." Say Jin piloted as if guiding an injured animal between barbs. "Doctor." Ekan Va was trimming the mathematics from the countersong, scraping phase, millimeter sapars, and millimetering. "We've trained the ship," Ekan said. "She needs to sing without breaking herself." "Then train," Maya ordered. "No external emission." They activated the choral module. It was not an instrument. It was discipline. The system ran internal microfolds. If the hull responded with repeated design, the module punished, cutting power for 1 second. The ship learned through discomfort. Crew, too. Again, Maya said. Say followed a rhythm without a compass. Elias changed beats without warning. Ekan mediates fatigue. The engine sang low. The external noise tried to become a corner. He couldn't. A fold corridor opened up on the right, too inviting. "No," Maya said. "Let's go around the edges." They walked along rough and slow edges. The vacuum choir likes smooth halls. Around the edges, it slips. 15 hours later, the first Null exhibition and millimeter. It came as the absence of dust, a narrow band cleaning. Say tilted 1 degree. The banner followed, patiently. They want us to correct it, Elias said. So we didn't correct it, Maya returned. 3 short, straight segments. Then I dive. The predator was 1 step behind. They entered a region of blue dust, remnants of ancient TI, an ancient DE. Ekan raised the training to level 2. The hull would gain phase microcuts. If the crew got into the rhythm of the cut, the module punished. Cruelty nean ancient, cruelty is cessory, Ekan said. I agree, Maya said. It hurts now to have more left over later. Sei adjusted thrusts sparingly. The module almost didn't punish. Aurora is learning the language. The radar swept a cold arc moving with them. It didn't. It didn't heat up. The blue dust curved. The arch curved with it. They want to push us into a beautiful hallway, Sei said. Beautiful hallways become a chorus, Ekan replied. No choruses, Maya cut in. Always first grades. A flash far away, photons shaken by a tide of gravity. The edge of the accretion disk shone like a blade. Fell. Ruz, cruelty is fell, Andy. We need an approach that preserves the archiver, Ekan said. If the heat catches on, our library will turn to coal. No sail in the wind, Sei said. In the shadow of the tide. Elijah proposed 3 routes, a short and daring one, too close to the blade, a long and predictable one, a mefel and done, and didium one, all broken. The bold burning, the long one turns into a march. The average is ugly and safe, Maya evaluated. Let's go for the ugly. Kronos grew in the glass like a luminous scar. The event horizon had no light, but it imposed will. The clock has betrayed. I feel time pulling my attention, Elias said. Keep your hand on the rhythm, not on the clock, Maya replied. The coral module has been raised to level 3. The hull vibrated like drumskin. Sei compensated with short engine breaths. Ekan has aligned phases as a craftsman. Elias whispered numbers. It was then that the Null showed themselves. 4 black silhouettes cut through the blue dust. Elongated shells, edges that drank light. They glided one, and glided, touching the tide, as if falling elegantly. They came from different sides, forming a semi-arch. They want us guided, glided, Sei said. They want the choice to seem ours, Maya murmured. They opened gaps, beautiful passages. Everything invited the chorus. Aurora kept crooked beats. One accompanied. Another went down to the blade. One went up. The last one stood still, solid silence. Test counter song-o. Counter song on the hull, Ekan said. Go, Maya nodded. The hull sang low. Note a low counter song ona, low, unbroken, unbroken, broken. The Null oscillated a thread. The tide changed brightness for a second. They felt it. Set. They learn quickly. So do we, Maya replied. Say, take Aurora to a ghost note. Ghost neme ghostot is trackless displacement. Microforces summed into non-pattern. AA ghosta non-pattern, almost invisible. Sei closed his eyes for half a second. He touched the controls with the parsimony of a surgeon. The Aurora slid. The semibow took a second to react. A second there was a lot. We have entered the shadow of the tide, Ekan said. Keep your skin cool. The disk spewed light in an arc. The shadow swayed. The Aurora passed under a photon tent that could fry library and a non-pattern, the library future. He, the library, the future, didn't fry. He twisted structure and will. 20 more seconds on this line and we'll burn, Ekan warned. We need the stage, the future, Maya said. The horizon is just around the corner. The stopped Null gave way. Beyond him, the void became darker. The clock danced off mark. It was the edge of space. Now, Maya said. Get the archiver ready. It doesn't. Just open the lid. Elijah opened the library. The nucleus vibrated low, familiar since Arium. Like hand O, a hand-en old Shah hand-en oldest. Ekan aligned the countersong with the local curvature. Wire precision. There are 2 steps left, Ekan said. A mistake kills. Then we won't make a mistake, Maya said. The Null set up a new semi-arch, closer. They didn't know what would come out, but they knew it would be big. Aurora hovered over Kronos and over Kronos's broken horizon, half at one time, half at another. When I say sing, we'll flip the galaxy for a second. The silence was respected, and Kronos waited, motionless as a sentence. The crew held their breath. The next step would change them all forever. Kronos stood in front of him, a faceless pit. The Aurora parked on the crooked edge of the horizon, half pulled, half loose. The clock lied. Captain Maya Rios felt the weight of the moment. Over Kronos's moment but kept her tone firm. Already, when I say sing, moment but sing, without hesitation. Jin fixed his hands on the stick. Dr. Ekan Var lined up stages of the countersong on the canvas, numbers as strings. Elias Morel opened the gravity archiver. The core vibrated low, like throat W sing, a throat arming up. The Null closed in a semicircle. 4 black hulls, no windows. The vacuum choir started as dew, turned to fog, then night. Lights of a throat, the light's dawn. The light's dawn did not go out. They were contradicted, like words that do not find a mouth. Beginning of total cancellation, Ekan said. 30, 29. The hoof groaned. Panels flashed out of order. The maneuvering engine became a memory. The sound of the air disappeared. The world became dense. Kronos bit him. Now, Maya said. Sing dawn, sing. The counter-chant rose from the archiver like a broken note, without beginning and without end. The Aurora opened 2 versions of itself on the edge of the abyss. One delayed a thread, the other early a breath. Say supported both with micro-forces. Elias kept the core in half-C sing, a half-app. Icon tied phases in the curvature of Kronos. Razors Edga half the razors between nothing and less than nothing. The choir, the Razors choir, came in one piece, looking for rhythm to kill. He didn't find it. It hit and slipped, returned. He slipped again. The edge of the horizon has curved. The space was full of nerves. Waves rising, Ekan said. It doesn't stop rising. The Null adjusted. The first craft released a mute pulse. The second spread a black veil. The third and fourth dived, falling with class. Hold on, Maya said. Say held on. The Aurora trembled, choir trembled but did not give in. The countersong pierced the veil and made it look like mist. The mute wrist broke. Kronos accepted the song and amplified it. Time slipped. An object fell and only touched the ground. 2 thoughts later. Elias's sweat drew a small orbit before dying in the filter. Ekan spoke 3 words in an interchangeable order. Phase peak, he said. We need to share more. Say, bend the shadow, Maya ordered. Elijah, open half a tooth. Ekan, tune to the limit. The Aurora became 3, crooked present, scraped past, sustrembled but past, and pensful future. The hull sang in controlled madness. The choir passed, and choir tried to be bigger and broke up. A clear window opened, small as a fingernail. For her, silence lost pride. Now, Maya shouted. Push! Say pushed. The ship launched the countersong as an invisible arch, passing through the semi-null choir semi-null arc. The bow semi-null blow hit the first shell and made her sob. He hit the second blow second, and she lost line. The second, the line. Third derailed from the tide and spun. The fourth dipped too much the line, much, and Kronos put it away. The choir lost coordination. It's not over. He was left without a conductor. The enemy notes ran over each other. Random outbreaks cancelled each other out. The night became less authoritarian. Window opening, Elias said. We have 40 seconds of heaven. We are not going to spend on escape, Maya replied. We are going to teach. Ekan understood. Choir, copy the signature of the break, without killing. Just show. Show it. Yes. They tied the curve of the contrachant into the response that Kronos multiplied. They recorded a short track, an anti-chorus show anti-chorus noise manual, and sent it out in narrow bundles, jumping between relays that were still breathing on the Orion line. Short, irregular, almost stuttered messages. "Done," Elias said. "If someone is listening, now they know how to sing." The Null realized it late. The first surviving shell tried to close the mouth of the well with a new veil. The second shot-off anti-chorus shot was a smaller tide. The third stopped, confused. Kronos didn't care. The whole accepted everything and returned what it wanted. The clock fell out of the pocket of time. The bridge was in a strange calm. The countersong vibrated finely, asking for rest. The core of the archiver heated up. "Temperature rising," Icon said. "If we go beyond the point, we lose the library." "Collect half a tooth," Maya said. "Say, keep shadow." Elias, lock the package and release it to all sectors with signal. The package was small, ugly, complete. It even fit in a mining radio, if anyone wanted to try. It fit in the pocket of a besieged planet. The Null reorganized. A fifth hull arrived, black in a different way. The choir-shot Washwar wanted to grow again. Maya saw the tide rising in the corner of the visor. "Enough," she said. "We did what we came to do. Get out, Koi route. Take the Aurora off the edge. Ikan, hang up with affection. Elijah, keep the song." The exit was the worst step. The edge of the horizon asked for a soul to let another escape. Kronos held out his invisible palm and almost caught it. Seye dodged inside a ghost note and pulled the ship as if saving a friend by a finger. Ekin turned off phases like someone who folds a veil without crumpling. Elias closed the lid of the nucleus and heard the last hum. Space breathed again. The Quairut retreated, still loud, but less ona. Toironorous. His semi-bow Null was left behind, tense. The stars remembered that they were stars. Maya leaned the back of his head against the backrest. He thought of Kepler Prime. He thought about those who were still waiting for news. He thought about the responsibility accepted. "Status?" he asked. "Slight damage," Ekan said. "Onerous. Integral library. Tired hoof. Grateful motor. Crew alive." "Route," Maya said. Elias drew a safe, stable line. Seye nodded and led the ship out of the monster hall. "We did it," she said, only inside. Maya did not smile. The voice came quietly, firmly. "It's not over yet." But now they can also sing. The dawn of the sector had no color. It was gray. Aurora crossed the void away from Kronos with low engines. The hull creaked little. A little. He crew seemed bigger than they were, due to the weight of fatigue and the lightness of what they had done. Elias Morel checked for the 10th time the package they had sent. Small, ugly, complete. A manual for transforming silence into a window. On the map, unlit dots began to blink again. It was not total va little, a totalictory. They were rebirths. Signs in Orion Seth, Mitra 2, Calum Frio, a total, he said. They repeat the contracanto in crooked but functional versions. Some fall, others return. Is music learned by ear. Dr. Ekenvar opened a picture with sinuous lines. "The choir lost the fight on 3 fronts and retreated a Tonia Tontan. They are not over. They only remembered that they can make mistakes." Sei Jin piloted in silence for a while. "I saw the 4th Null shell fall. There was no explosion. It was just acceptance." He breathed. "Eton, I'm not proud of it, but I'm relieved." Captain Maya Rios kept quiet, listening to her own decisions. Then he said simply, "Rely. Relief does not apologize. Relief apologize. He only asks for responsibility." The Federative channel opened in Mosaic. The old admiral was there. And also Sorendalm, Paler. There was silence on the other side, but not the same as Kepler's. Apologize. A silence of those who still think. "We have received the package," said the admiral. "Smaller relays already replicate the method. The colonies, some resist. Others send us recordings. They learn to break the rhythm of their own networks. It's counter-instinct, but they learn. Dalm said without a blade. I was proud. He wanted to win like in the manuals. The manuals didn't listen to Kronos. Pause. I need your raw data. Everyone. Maya was not one to keep a trophy. They are already in the annex. The archiver stays where it should be. Aurium is not a trophy. It's memory. The Admiral bowed his head. I agree. The relic city will remain untouched, with discreet watchmen. No parade. The screen changed to Kepler Prime. It was not whole, but she was not mute. Lights coated. The ruins. A delayed message crossed the channel. We are alive. Few. The choir schwa passed and returned. Now it falls when we sing wrong. We need roots, water, and choir doctors. Maya held the water from his eye. We will send what we can, he said, and learn from those who stayed. The call ended. Elias played the console as if strumming a guitar without strings. There's something of Kronos that doesn't want to die inside my head, he said. They are not scary. They just call. Don't answer, Maya asked. I'm not going to answer. He smiled shortly. I'm just going to write it down. Ekin zoomed in on a cold image of the broken horizon. An edge rippled so that it did not enter the models. There is residue there. It may be an echo of our countersong. It can be something else. It is not hostile. It's a question. Not every question deserves an answer right away, Maya said. First the house, then the border. The house was Aurium. The Aurora returned to the dark world by a crooked path without ping. They got off at the old terrace. The city breathed lighter dust, as if recognizing footsteps. We will return what we touched, Maya said. They went down to the pit hall and the archiver's mirror. Nothing was taken. Nothing was lit unnecessarily. Say went through the simulation chamber again. The display showed the narrow fold aisle. She crossed with one more detour. The city accepted. In the sanctuary phase, Elijah made 3 wrong touches, and the hourglass opened. He replaced, in a keyless drawer, a copy of what they extracted. A smooth ring, of no value to thieves, but full of miniature engraved curvatures. Simple gesture. Memory returned. In the courtyard, the colossal ring scratched a shadow that looked like a bridge. Ekin looked at the sky. The chorus will learn from losses. He will try another tone. So do we, Maya said. The music is not over. And the Null? Say asked. No one answered at the time. Afterwards, Maya said, perhaps they were never an empire. Maybe they were like us. Someone heard the choir first, survived, and made it a method. They lived years of fear. He swallowed. Today we broke the method. Tomorrow, who knows? We'll talk. Back at Aurora, Elias wrote in his diary, silence has not died. He changed jobs. Ekan created new models for Kronos residuals. Say wrote on the glove, never repeat a chorus. Maya went down to the bay, touched the hull with an open hand, and stayed there for a minute. He spoke softly, to himself and to the ship. We are not heroes. We are people who have learned to listen. The Aurora rose again. Small relays repeated the ugly song that saved minutes of life. Colonies rehearsed, fleets trained in discomfort. Children asked why things now flash out of time, and someone replied, it's so bad not to find the beat. Before doubling towards Orion Seth, Elijah's specter crossed out 3 tired notes, just like the ones he heard. They came from far away, from the direction of Kronos. But they were not an echo. They were invitations. Captain, he said. Maya did not look back. I heard, not today. The ship turned its nose. The map drew broken lines that knew how to come back. The galaxy seemed to breathe in the right rhythm. No rhythm, only living people, creating rhythm with different steps. Aurium's last glow disappeared in the glass. The first flash of Orion Seth lit up on the other side. The dawn followed in the middle, breaking the silence. They would return when the house was ready, and somewhere behind them, Kronos held a question that the future had yet to answer.